Alright guys and girls, so for those who care, I'm not going to be at school today because I got a lot of things to take care of and we're running out of time here, and today, gotta finish them today. So I'm just going to do this video right here. So we're going to be doing notes number 4, adding and subtracting rational expressions continued. This is pretty much the same thing as yesterday, it's just a slightly new concept. It's not really that new, but it's the same idea. So let's take a look. So let's do some examples. We're going to jump straight into the examples because it is the same as yesterday. So example 1, all we're doing is finding the least common denominator. So you see on A, we've got two different variables, right? What do we do when you have two different variables? You just multiply them by each other. So if I multiply C and D together, what do I get? I get CD. The least common multiple is going to be CD. How would I get D to become CD? I just multiply by C over C. How do I become C to become CD? I multiply by D over D. Yeah, that's going to give me CD. You see? You see? Okay, so now look at B though. B looks weird because I've got x minus 3 as one of the denominators and x plus 2 as the other denominator. This is like two separate terms, right? And so pretty much x minus 3 is one term and x plus 2 is another term. It's the same idea as having two different variables like this first example, C and D in the bottom. On the left is this fraction on the left side. What's it missing? It doesn't have an x plus 2, so in order to make it the same denominator, we can just multiply by x plus 2. And now if I multiply this right denominator by x minus 3, notice the denominators are now going to be the same, right? Because now both the denominators are x plus 2 times x minus 3. It's very simple. And so the least common denominator here is x plus 2 times x minus 3. You see, just like that. So in the same way, look at C. What would it be here? All I have to do is the exact same thing. Take both of these and multiply them together. So x plus 8 times x is going to be my least common denominator here. Next, look at D. This one's weird because they didn't write it in a fraction form, but it's the same idea. If this was a denominator and x plus 1 was a denominator, what would the least common denominator be? All I would have to do is multiply the two terms together, so I would have x minus 2 times x plus 1. That is my least common denominator. So then look at E. We're applying this concept a little further. Now, there's two factors in the bottom in each denominator. So all we have to look at is what is one denominator missing compared to the other one. Let's look at this denominator here. It's got x minus 2, when we use colors you can really see it, and x plus 4, right? The second denominator has x minus 2 as well, with that same color, but it's got a x minus 5. So what is the denominator on the left missing? It's missing an x minus 5. So let's give it an x minus 5. So we multiply the top and the bottom by x minus 5, and now, okay, we got that. And so on the right side, what is this right denominator missing? It's missing the x plus 4. So if we multiply the top and the bottom by x plus 4, now look, the denominators are the exact same. The least common denominator here is going to be x minus 5 times x minus 2 times x plus 4, just like that. Alright, so moving on to the next one. Now look at these ones. These ones are a little different because they're not broken down into factors for you. So when you have something like this, first thing you got to do is factor it out. Use the Xbox method or use difference of squares. So if I factor this x squared minus x minus 12 out, it's going to be x minus 4 times x plus 3. And then if I factor out x squared minus 16, what's this going to be? It's a difference of squares. It's going to be x plus 4 times x minus 4. And so now let's take a look at what's similar and what's different here. So both of these denominators have an x minus 4, so that's good. But now the denominator on the left side has an x plus 3, and the denominator on the right side has an x plus 4. So I need to multiply on the left by x plus 4. And then I have to multiply the right denominator by x plus 3. So my least common denominator here is going to be x plus 4 times x minus 4 times x plus 3. That's what would make these denominators both the same. Alright, and now I think this is the last example right here. Example G, so the same idea. We take this denominator, x squared minus 7, x minus 18, factor it out. It's going to be x minus 9 times x plus 2. That's with the Xbox method. And then the x squared minus 4 is going to factor out to x plus 2 times x minus 2. So let's compare what they've got in common and what's different about these two denominators. I see the x plus 2 on both denominators, but then this denominator has an x minus 9 and the right denominator has an x minus 2. So what do I need to multiply the left denominator by? The x minus 2 that it's missing. So multiply like this. And what do I need to multiply the right denominator by? The x minus 9 that's missing. And now look, the denominators are the same. It's going to be x minus 2 times x minus 9 times x plus 2. And that's going to be the least common denominator. So this whole section is just finding the least common denominator. I'm having trouble saying that word right now. Least common denominator. Alright, so now we're actually going to start adding and subtracting. But first things first, we need to find the restrictions on the domain, right? How do I do that? We've got two different denominators here. So we're going to take each denominator and set it equal to 0, and that will tell us our restrictions. So x equals 0. Wow, that's a freebie right there. That's looking at this x. And then the other denominator is x plus 1 equals 0. This one I actually have to work out because I see that I'm adding or subtracting a number. So x is negative 1. So that means x cannot equal 0 because that will make it undefined, and x cannot equal negative 1 because that will make the second expression undefined. Okay, so now we're actually going to add or subtract, but before we can add or subtract, they have to have the same denominator. So we need to find the least common denominator. So I'm going to make this into one term like this. And so what is the least common denominator going to be? What is it going to be? I have to multiply these two terms together. So I will multiply this right fraction by x over x, and I'll multiply the left fraction by x plus 1 over x plus 1. Alright, now here's the thing you got to pay attention to. When I'm multiplying like this, I need to distribute. You see this 2? It goes to both of those terms, which leaves me with 2x plus 2. And the same thing on the bottom. I have to distribute. So this x is going to multiply to both of the terms inside the parentheses, giving me 2x plus 2 over x squared plus x. And I'm adding, now we're going to do the same thing. We multiply 3 times x, which is 3x, over, we got to distribute here, x times x and x 1 times x. That's going to be x squared plus x. Notice the denominators are the same, so now I can add. So when I add, I'm going to get 2x plus 2 plus 3x over x squared plus x. But look at this. Isn't there something that I can combine? Do I got like terms here, guys? I got like terms here. I do. I got the 2x plus the 3x. That makes 5x plus 2 over x squared plus x. And that is going to be my final answer. Oh boy. So let's go to the next one on the next page. First things first, now notice the difference here. This question says what are the restrictions on the domain? When it's asked for restrictions, we put x is not equal to. This one says where is the expression undefined. This one we don't need to put x is not equal to, we just put x is equal to because it's asking for a location. So let's find those x values where x is undefined. 3x equals 0, which means that x equals 0, and also x plus 1 equals 0. Subtract 1, this is from the denominators, and x is equal to negative 1. So x is going to be 0, and negative 1, that makes it undefined. Alright? Alright, so now let's get to actually subtracting these two fractions. So I'm going to multiply, look at this, if I use the colors here, watch this. I need to multiply this right fraction by 3x over 3x. And I need to multiply the left fraction by x plus 1 over x plus 1. And now be careful here because once again, look at this, and we're going to put parentheses around this that makes us remember to distribute. So right here, 2 times the x and 2 times the 1, which is going to be 2x plus 2 over, and same thing, I got to distribute with the 3x. 3x times x is 3x squared, and 3x times 1 is plus 3x. Okay, and then we've got minus. Now here's the thing, when I'm subtracting this top term right here, boom, it becomes a minus of 15x squared over, and when I distribute this 3x to x plus 1, it's going to be 3x squared plus 3x. So now look, wow, the denominators are the same. I can combine, I can make it into a single fraction. It will be 2x plus 2 minus 15x squared over 3x squared plus 3x. and I can just leave it as such, just like that. It's going to be the answer. Alright, moving on to the next two. These ones don't ask where the expression is undefined, but you can tell that if it did ask where it's undefined, the C would be at 2 and negative 2 based on these denominators. So right here, all we're going to do is multiply, we're going to just subtract them. So what do I need? Look at this. I got x minus 2 right here. I got x plus 2 right here. So what do I need to multiply this right fraction by? I need to multiply it by x minus 2 over x minus 2. And I need to multiply the left fraction by x plus 2 over x plus 2. And so let's make sure we distribute the right way though. So we got 8x times x and 8x times 2, which is going to be 8x squared plus 16x over, and then look at this. This is the difference of squares right here. X plus 2 times x minus 2, that is just going to give me x squared minus 4. Right, and you can actually check that out if you wanted to, but I see right now that it's a difference of squares. Okay, so now let's look at the second term. We're going to put a minus sign because it's minus, and then we got to distribute the 3x to x minus 2. That's going to be 3x times x is 3x squared, and then 3x times negative 2 is negative 6x over, and then once again, right here we got a difference of squares. X plus 2 times x minus 2 is going to give x squared minus 4. The denominators are the same, and now we can combine. Now be careful here though. Notice how there's multiple terms up here, up top right here. So we're going to put this in parentheses because this minus sign right here in the between is going to distribute to both of these terms. Now be very careful about that. A lot of people mess that up. So then this is going to equal 8x squared plus 16x minus 3x squared, because that minus sign distributing, and then plus 6x because the negative distributes to the negative 6x, making it a positive 6x. And all of that is over x squared minus 4. So now I'm just going to combine my like terms. I see 8x squared minus 3x squared gives me 5x squared. Then I got plus 16x plus 6x, which gives me plus 22x. And that's all over x squared minus 4. And that's going to be this simplified expression. Okay, 16x. Let me make sure I didn't mess this one up though. Okay, alright, good. Okay, so now let's move on to D. Alright, so what are we missing here? Notice this right here is x plus 4 twice. So all it really is missing is the left side needs another x plus 4 so that I can have 2x plus 4s just like the right side. So now that's easier because we don't have to multiply both sides. So we're going to distribute 3 to the x plus 4, which makes 3x plus 12 over, and then x plus 4 times x plus 4, we can just write it as the right side is, x plus 4 squared. So plus 5x over x plus 4 squared. We didn't have to change the right fraction at all this time, making it very handy. So now we can combine because the denominators are the same. So we're going to get 3x plus 12 plus 5x over x plus 4 squared. Now we just got to combine our like terms. Do we have any? Yeah, we do. 3x plus 5x is 8x plus 12 over x plus 4 squared, and that's going to be your answer. Alright, there you go. So let's move on to some more examples. Example 3, add or subtract and simplify if necessary. So let's take a look at A. What am I okay, look at this. The denominators both have an x plus 2, but this left one's got an x minus 3 as well. So what do I need to multiply this right fraction by? I need to multiply it by x minus 3 over x minus 3. Alright, so boom, like this. So that's going to make the denominators the same now, and so we're going to have 9 over x minus 3 times x plus 2. This is going to be a lot of writing though, guys, but it's all going to be worth it when you get the right answer. Minus, and then remember, because I've got multiple terms here, because I'm distributing, I need to put that inside a parentheses. 3x squared, because 3x times x is 3x squared, minus 9x over x plus 2 times x minus 3. If you want to see it in the same order, you can just write x minus 3 times x plus 2. It really doesn't matter what order, but the fact is that the denominators are the same. And so now, when I combine these, because the denominators are the same, This negative sign's got to distribute to both of the terms inside the parentheses, so that's going to give me 9 minus 3x squared plus 9x over x minus 3 times x plus 2. And that's going to be your answer. Now technically it would look a lot cleaner if you moved this into highest degree to lowest, like the x squared first, then the x, and then the 9, but it doesn't matter. Okay, so now let's look at b. Okay, so both of the denominators have an x minus 1, okay? The denominator on the left is x plus 2, the denominator on the right has an x plus 3. So we're going to make sure that they end up the same. So on the right side I'm going to multiply by x plus 2 over x plus 2, and on the left side what should I multiply by? X plus 3 over x plus 3, like this. Alright, so now let's see what we have here. Let's multiply the distribution, boom, and the distribution, whoa! Spider fingers. Okay, so 8x times x is 8x squared. 8x times 3 is plus 24x. Then we got the minus. Let's put it over the fraction already. X plus 3. This is going to be so much writing. Ooh. X plus 2. Minus 7 times x is 7x. Now put this in parentheses because you got multiple terms. 7 times 2 is plus 14. Over. And then we got the same denominator. X plus 3 times x minus 1. Times x plus 2. Now because the denominators are the same, we can combine our fractions. So we're going to have 8x squared plus 24x. And what's going to come next now? What do we do next? Remember, the negative sign has to distribute to both of these terms. So we're actually going to have negative 7x minus 14. Alright? Over x plus 3 times x minus 1 times x plus 2. And so we got to combine our like terms. 8x squared is the only x squared term. 24x minus 7x is plus 17x, and then minus 14. And now we put that all over our denominator of x plus 3 times x minus 1 times x plus 2, and that is going to be our answer. 8x squared plus 17x minus 14 over x plus 3 times x minus 1 times x plus 2. Alright, moving on to example 4. Okay, the difference here, now look at this. Oh my goodness, we have to factor the denominators, okay? So I'm just going to tell you what it is because you can do the Xbox yourself. But if I were to factor these denominators, I would have x plus 7 times x minus 2 over here on the left. And the x squared minus 8x plus 12 would become x minus 2 times x minus 6. They're the factors. So let's see, what they have in common and what they're missing. So they both have this x minus 2. That's good, okay? But on the left side we've got an x plus 7, and on the right side we have an x minus 6, which means we need to multiply the right side by x plus 7 over x plus 7. And we need to multiply the left fraction by this one right here, x minus 6 over x minus 6. So now when I distribute like this, boom and boom, I'm going to get 4x times x is 4x squared. 4x times negative 6 is negative 24x over my denominator x minus 6 times x plus 7 times x minus 2. And then it's plus, now 3 times x is 3x. 3 times 7 is plus 21 over the same denominator x minus 6 x minus 2 times x plus 7. So now that the denominators are the same, we can actually combine them. So we're going to have equals 4x squared minus 24x plus 3x plus 21 over the denominator again, x minus 6 times x minus 2 times x plus 7. And we just need to combine our like terms and we'll have our answer. So when I combine like terms, 4x squared is the only x squared term I have, but negative 24x plus 3x is going to be negative 21x. And plus 21 over the denominator x minus 6 times x minus 2 times x plus 7. It really doesn't matter what order you put these parentheses factors into, as long as they're all there. That's going to be your answer. And so now, let's check the very last one. Check the very last one, b, right here. So we're going to have, we got to factor out the denominators. This denominator on the left, x squared plus 2x minus 3, is going to become x plus 3 times x minus 1. And the denominator on the right is going to become x plus 4 times x minus 1. Alright? Okay, so let's see what they're missing or what they have in common. So both of these denominators have the x minus 1 in common, but the denominator on the left has an x plus 3, and the denominator on the right has an x plus 4, which means I need to multiply this left fraction by what? By x plus 4 over x plus 4. And I need to multiply this right fraction by x plus 3 over x plus 3. And let's make sure we distribute here, so like this, ooh, and like this, ooh. Alright? And so when I distribute this 3 times x, I get 3x. 3 times 4, I get plus 12 over this big denominator of x plus 4 times x plus 3 times x minus 1. This time it's a minus sign right here. Look at the minus sign. So I'm going to put minus. And because I'm going to have more than one term, I'm going to put it in parentheses. We got 5 times x, which is 5x, and 5 times 3, which is plus 15, like this, over the same denominator, x plus 4 times x minus 1 times x plus 3. Alright, so now when I combine these two fractions together, because they do have the same denominator, it's going to be 3x plus 12. And now this minus sign, what does it do? It distributes to each of these terms. So I get minus 5x minus 15 all over this denominator of x plus 4 times x plus 3 times x minus 1. And all I have to do now is combine the like terms. So I see I got a 3x minus 5x. 3x minus 5x is negative 2x. And positive 12 minus 15 is negative 3. So my final answer is going to be negative 2x minus 3 over x plus 4 times x plus 3 times x minus 1. And that's the idea, guys. So you see, it's pretty similar. This time now we're doing it with factors of polynomials. Alright, that's going to end this one, guys. We'll see you in the next one. So until then, guys, do what you're supposed to do in class. Just because I'm not there, don't be slacking off. See ya in the next one. Peace!